you know, tweet or Facebook something that's like a little derogatory unintentionally, like if I don't hate someone else for doing it, then maybe they won't hate me when I do it.
Kind of like what America's saying, you know, for every negative comment, you know, like on a YouTube video, for example, there's 100 positive comments. So human nature is kind of to dwell on the negative. So I don't know, I try really not to read the negative ones and just kind of, you know, appreciate the time that people, you know, came to watch my video or whatever. You know, and just basically just self-acceptance. Like, who cares what everybody else is thinking or saying, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, like, you're gonna come out ahead, I think.
Well, that actually is something, the pinup thing that you were just talking about, because I did it as well, and I got some backlash on that too. Because apparently, if you're a girl geek, you must be holding a banner and not have boobs. I don't know. But that's been a big controversy about whether or not you can be sexual and still be a geek, or if you're doing something terrible to the community. I actually really interviewed Jane about this a long time ago, where you were saying that geeks are all shapes, sizes, types of sexuality, and it doesn't matter. And I think that's an important discussion that we need to have.
I have a question about like those trolls who go on the things and post the terrible, terrible things. The sort of like, I don't care what you say because you're ugly, or the die ones. Has anyone studied them? Are they 13-year-olds? How? I'm always wondering. Yeah, is that what it is? Are we complaining about the deep thoughts of children?
Study.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're
literally or emotionally.
yeah, well, there are definitely some people that I've spoken to who started as trolls who are now friends, but honestly, they just want the attention. They were just like, oh my God, you noticed me. Yeah, no one else has.
So weird.
So is there anything we can do as a society to kind of educate people that this kind of behavior, sexism and cyber stalking or cyber attacking, is not okay? Anybody?
Yeah, it goes back to that question of who are they? I mean, if it's a 13-year-old, hopefully they will learn when they become a person.
Snipers with dart guns.
Yeah, I don't know, because some of the things that are written are so clearly just calculated to hurt in the worst possible way, where they've just simply sort of gone through their thesaurus of hurtful words and thrown as many of them in there as they can, and you can't believe that there's a genuine reasoned philosophy behind it. So how do you change that?
I think there's something about the internet that allows for the anonymity and the ability to say things without consequences. So, you know, I don't, you know, we have people in this room who hopefully are here to celebrate us, but in person, would these people who are trolling us really say these hurtful, negative, really just salacious things? I just wanted to say salacious. So, you know, and studies show, psychology studies show that if you have various, you know, levels, you know, borders and boundaries between, you know, yourself and the person, people you're interacting with, you're more likely to be more hurtful. You're more likely to lose inhibition. You're more likely to act in a way that's antisocial.
You know, what we need the internet to be face to face. Or I don't know. That won't work.
Personally, I can't think of any, you know, self-built solution, but I did see this one YouTube video where this kid posted some really inflammatory stuff on Facebook, and his dad took his computer outside and shot it. I think that might work.
I think if we go to the wisdom of King Jareth, just don't give them power. Just they don't have power over us. And then we still talk about it, and we read them, and we fixate on it, and it's like what she said, like, you know, I think there's an actual number for every negative comment or negative thing you hear. You need to hear like 13 good ones just to balance it out. And I don't know what that is about human nature, but we just can't give them power over us. That's, I think, the secret. And then they will go away, and then they'll say, oh, look, they only address the people who are nice to them. And then let me say something nice. That'll get their attention. But if they're getting our attention by being negative, well, then they're going to continue doing it, like a 13-year-old having a temper tantrum.
Yeah. And I think Dana had a good point too, is that we have to make sure we ourselves are not falling into that and being negative to other people as well.
I mean, it just seems like there should be a way to, even children can learn. Children, 13-year-olds don't just go on the bus and scream at everybody about their what any observable flaw that they may happen to strike them. Like, there must be a way to educate them that it is just as inappropriate to go in a chat room and scream negative things at everybody. I don't know what it is, but it's this ignoring it. Yes, obviously that's the right course, but there's something so sad that that's the only course, is that there's not some way to actually help people see that this attention that they're getting is paper thin and negative.
You know, it's interesting because we've got a lot of women who write up here, and then I don't have an answer for this question, but it does beg the question, like, how do we show people not to write negatively without implementing censorship? You know, where's the difference?
Oh yeah, that's true. You don't just want to, like, oh, you can't post anything on the web because you didn't like something once. Yeah, that's true.
Well, if you think about it, it's like training a dog. I mean, if you, it is though. It is. No, I mean, if you, instead of yelling at them, which they still hear as noise, 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 you ignore it. Right. When they do something bad, and you only give positive feedback to people who are positive to you. And I don't know, I think that's the way to do it. Just, you know, because I mean, like I said, I've had a bunch of people who are negative, and the few times that I have engaged, they're just like, oh my God, you're talking. You want to hear what I want to say to you? But that's really why they're doing it. They just want the attention, and so, I don't know, I think ignoring it is the best way. And then, of course, speaking out about it later on, just not directly engaging. Yeah.
And with the censorship, I mean, there is a difference between being constructive criticism and just being a troll and a doo-doo head, you know? You are bad.
Yourself now.
Wait, you are bad. That's not constructive. You know? It's like, why? Why are you posting that? Okay, well, moving on to something a little more lighthearted. So we are all creative types here. And, you know, being a creator, entertainer, parkour, whatever, often has us juggling 10 or more projects at a time. So, you know, then before you know it, there's been 7 days we've eaten fast food and we haven't taken a moment for ourselves to relax. So how do you make sure you take that time to relax and stay healthy?
Well, I have to take breaks. I have to take breaks when I write. There's a day, just a few days ago, where I did 14 articles. And we write for the same site, so yes, you've seen them. But I have to take breaks and go outside and do something physical. I have to, because if I just sit and stare at a computer screen, or I'm on Twitter, like, you can get really caught up in just some of the negative stuff we were saying before, because that's all you're doing all day. So also it'd be really nice to hit stuff with sticks.
I am absolutely the wrong person to ask this question, but I'm interested to hear what everyone else has to say.
I don't think I practice what I preach, because sometimes patients ask me how to not be stressed out, and you know, I embody multitasking and stressing out. I see people nodding over here. Boxing. We need to spar soon. Yeah. Physical, you know, exercise helps, but it is tough. I mean, it's sort of human nature is when to learn how to just find balance in the force.
I don't believe in taking breaks or taking care of yourself or being healthy, because if you take a break, the emails are just going to pile up while you're taking that break. It's better to just keep working and dig yourself out of the email hole rather than stopping and doing some yoga, and then you come back and your life is blown up. And if the guys can run themselves till they have a heart attack at 50, why can't we?
I have 4 or 5 email accounts, and there's 20 emails in each, and you have to get back, and you have to organize this, and then you have to write 12 articles for this site, or you have a script due. So yeah, it's just like, when do you stop?
Put an away message on your email, even if you're just going outside for half an hour. I swear I do it all the time. Of course, now you all know if you email me. I'm just hiking.
So I exercise, I dance, and I study foreign language. I think it's important to exercise my body and my brain, but for Jane, who maybe has less time, there are 3 things that I do that are really helpful, and that is I make chainmail, I shoot guns, and I read comic books. And the reason why I do those 3 things are the same. It's because shooting a gun, you think about your wrist, your shoulder, or your elbow and your shoulder, and your stance. When you're making chainmail, you think about closing the chains, how many links you're putting together, and the full composition. When you're reading comics, you look at the words, you look at the actual images, you look at the layout. So all of those things engage every part of my brain. I can't think about anything else when I'm doing those things. So
even when you're resting, you're metaphorically doing work.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I do something that doesn't allow me to think about all the things outside of it. So that when I do need to go back to writing or answering emails, then I can focus on the writing and the emails instead of letting my brain go all over the place. I do like really focused tasks.
And that's why I like martial arts, is because if I think of anything else, I'll fall over. I find that to be. Go ahead.
My work isn't work. Like I'm just playing all day like a 5-year-old little boy. So I just have fun, and I don't really know what it is to relax. I don't really know what that means, but having fun is important too, right?
Yeah. You really when you get paid for it.
Exactly right. What could be better than that?
That's the secret right there.
That's right.
So what do you do when I feel like we've all felt like we've hit the wall, so to speak. Maybe you have writer's block, or you just don't want to be on TV anymore, you don't want to write, or you can't parkour anymore. What do you do to get away and help with that kind of creativity block?
Well, for me, it's the same thing. It has to be physical. I have to do something physical. I can't. If I'm stuck writing, it doesn't happen that much, but when it does, it's bad. So yeah, I'll usually run or hike or hang out with my animals or something like that. But I think the physical thing clears your head a little bit.
I always have a bunch of different projects going on, and they're all completely different, because one will be stunts, and then one will be voiceover, and one will be directing, and one will be writing. And so if I feel like I'm stuck on one, then I'll transition into another project temporarily, and that usually lets my brain work out a problem that I was working on, and then I can go back to it once I've figured that out, or once I'm stuck on the one that I moved on to, and then I can move on to another one.
Yeah, I totally agree with America that if you make transitions and shifts to sort of different things, that you can let part of your brain relax. And I actually analyze fictional characters for fun, because it's less, I know it's still serious, but it's less serious than sort of the real stuff. So I feel like that's my way to kind of get into a different universe.
It's fascinating.
I enjoy Project Runway.
I feel like I just answered that question, but it's like, for me, when especially like if I get writer's block, I try and do something else. It's like a ring I want to wear. If I look for it, I can look everywhere, and I will look everywhere that it's not. But if I just go about doing my own thing, I'll just stumble across it, and that's like my inspiration.
Well, my work is like the reward, like for America too. Like we do stunts. It's hard to get in and stuff. So when you do get the job, like that's your kind of your reward. And I also like to travel a lot. I'm going to Turkey and Croatia in a couple weeks. So.
And roadblocks and obstacles is your job, right? Overcoming
those obstacles. Right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Talk about play that's metaphor for work. That really is. You're overcoming obstacles. You're going over walls. Let's go.
She looks forward to obstacles.
So who are some other women other than yourselves that you think are innovator or groundbreakers among fangirls or geeks?
I know Marjorie Liu, who is a comic book person. She's fantastic. Actually, I was lucky enough to work in this anthology called Womanthology, and it was all comic book. Everybody involved in this book, there was over 140 women, and I met some of the coolest chicks ever. Really, really awesome and really supportive of each other. So I think, there are definitely famous women who are groundbreakers, but I think some of the younger girls in this thing who never thought about writing a comic before this happened, I don't know, to me, that's even more awesome.
I saw this question ahead of time and kind of panicked because I felt like I would be played off the stage like the Oscars. So I feel like the easy answer is obviously the women on this panel, but the list just grows so much for me, and I'm afraid to say one name without saying another name because I just feel like that's just be sinful. So I'm just going to say every woman in this room. How about that?
I can't really follow that except to add, and fictional. Are also women. like Barbara Gordon and of course I'm trying to think of even the Star Wars women, but I don't want to name people without not naming people. So.
Felicia Day. The women of Star Trek. DC Fontana was out there doing it. I know a lot of women doing that. And Melinda Snodgrass, who wrote Measure of a Man and submitted it to Star Trek, and they shot her spec script. Like, that's the thing that's supposed to never happen. And so Star Trek was the place that we got a lot of amazing women writers.
Okay, so I thought about whether or not I answer this question honestly, and I'm going to go for it. But when I saw this, my natural answer is Jane. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, she's moving my microphone for me. I'm going to follow that with a why, otherwise I feel like kind of a kiss-ass. But it's because when I think of Jane, I think of a great writer. I don't think of a great female writer. I don't categorize it as something smaller. And when, one day when I'm a big girl, I don't want people to think of me as a great female writer. I want to be just a great writer, period. And that's it.
There's no need to specify. Like, a good writer's a good writer, and equality will happen when people just start hiring out of who's best in the talent pool, because that'll naturally even the numbers out.
I feel like I deal with that a lot. Like I said, I compete in Red Bull Art of Motion, and for the first 5 or 6 competitions, I was the only girl competing against the best guys in the world. I've now competed in 9 of them, and I've made finals 6 out of the 9 times, kicking the shit out of the guys. It's not because I'm better than them, it's because I'm smarter than them. I know what it takes to win. I know what I'm good at. You know what I mean? Like, I adhere to my strengths. I beat Philip right here. He's from Sweden. I beat him a bunch of times. Doing what you love, and also appreciating, I'm in the Stunt Women's Association. Those women, females getting into stunts has been a really big challenge, and every year it gets better and better for us, but somebody's got to set that standard. Somebody's got to take a risk and get out there, and so the women in my group, I really, appreciate so much them really, I guess, setting the platform for us to be able to get jobs and, not have the men step in and do the women's job, because we're just as capable as they are of getting the job done.
And I would like to just mention one lady on YouTube, Anita, I think her name is Sarkeesian. She does she, talks a lot about sexism in video games and how just the little hidden ones, and she gets a lot of hate from a lot of people because she's talking about that. So, check her out, give her support. She is doing some good work. Also, Ashley Epstein. Yeah, she does. Actually, I'm wearing half of her clothes right now. She's been doing a lot of good work. Has a geeky women's clothing line.
Her Universe is her clothing line.
Her Universe,
yeah,
yes.
It's really good.
So, I think we're about to kind of wind down, but before we do, how about everybody just everybody get out your phones. Tell us where we can find you, or what's next for you.
Okay, well, you can find my work on voice.fanhattan.com and hers. And on Twitter, you can find me at Jenna Busch, B-U-S-C-H, like the beer, not the president. And come friend me on Facebook.
I guess the best way to find out what I'm up to is just to follow me on Twitter. So at America_Young. That's basically the best way. I just want to leave this panel as I don't feel like any of us on here are man haters. I think we all love our men in our lives. I know some of the best opportunities I've had in my career has been for men. And so I think it's really important that it's clear that it's not us versus them. It's not the dangerous women versus the men. I think it's we're all just working together to get the best possible product. And I think that involves including more women than has been in the past. But I just wanted to make sure that this didn't become some sort of a bashing session. And you've done a great job of keeping that from.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That was not the intention of the panel.
I think the best way to chat with me and interact with me is through Twitter. at Arkham Asylum Doc. Arkham Asylum is spelled like Arkham Asylum. If you don't know how to spell that, please come talk to me. I love talking to you. If you want to kind of check out what I write about in terms of psychology of fictional characters, my website is underthemaskonline.com, and email is the same as Twitter at Gmail.
A good way to reach me is Twitter at Jane Espenson, also at Team Husbands. And I wanted to add to your thing about the righteous men who have employed us and support us. Also, women are not the only ones who get looked down on because of femininity. Feminine men also go through that, and that's something we shouldn't forget.
You can contact me at Twitter at Dana Braziel, or my Facebook fan page, The Adventures of a Comic-Con Girl. And if you do want to see my writing, the trade is coming out on July 7th. So.
Thanks. Go see Identity Thief. I got hit by a car from Elizabeth McCarthy. I got my world rocked on that one. Had to go to the hospital, get 7 stitches. It was awesome. Also, I worked on a movie called The Conjuring. It's coming out in July. And then I also got to work with, I beat the shit out of Arnold Schwarzenegger a couple months ago. So it's called, they're calling it 10. I don't know what they're calling it, the final product title will be, but I double narrate Enos. TempestFreeRunning.com, LuciRomberg.com, Twitter, Luci Romberg. I don't know. I suck at social media, but I'll try.
I'm very jealous you got to work with Arnold.
He was awesome.
And I'm at ActionChick on Twitter, and you can find me at thevoice.manhattan.com or actionlipchick.com. So thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed.